Starting today, I would just request everybody to keep your phones on silent while the conversation is on. And if you need to take a call, please, if you could step out and do the same. This evening, we bring forward a very renowned artist by the name of Seema Kohli. Most of you know her already and are familiar with her work. And our endeavor, as we said, was to have a conversation with her about her journey and also about her learnings with both international as well as national exposure. We begin the evening by asking her a simple question, which I always ask almost all the artists. Ma'am, has your love for art changed over the years since when you started painting for the first time?
No, not at all. And I don't have to think about it because this was something which came with me, which was a gift, and which I realized as the years went by. And it is still opening up so many new mysteries, new doors. It's always a surprise. Every day I do another work, or I am in the process of doing the work. There's so many new things which open up. I think it will never go. It has been my, I think, first passion, first love, and it will always be.
Has that love evolved? Has the love evolved over the years? I mean, from what you first, kind of witnessed art as a novice to today when you are, you've been practicing for so many years. Has that love evolved in terms of, have there been changes?
Of course, Nitin, there have been a lot of changes, but I don't think, changes, but it has evolved because as a child, I think each and every child, just loves the mystery of color and the suspense of that dot expanding into line, and that line forming a shape, and that shape in their imagination having a movement, that I think is the biggest, kind of an opening for any child. It started like that, and in spite of there were so many other infatuations, you think you can write well, you can cook well, you can do this well, that well, but stayed with me and I continued. But as I was discovering this, my first passion is line, of course, drawing. That movement starts, and there are certain elements which want to gain another dimension. They want to move on to another medium. They ask me, they push me, they don't sleep that, okay, now what are you doing with me? You have to do something else. I need something else. So from color, from line, from color, from canvas to a sculpture. And then if that sculpture demands another movement, it moves on to a performance or an installation performance. And now I've entered into music and, also form of voice that I lend to my performances in the background. I think I can call it singing, but there is a voice that I've started giving, which also adds to another dimension to the work. In the end, it is just one artwork, but and that is the reason if you saw this video on views, I had worked upon it not only as a social, in social context, but also in the context of art, that how I saw it connected to my work over the years, how it was evolving in different kind of drawings and paintings, and I sort of weave them into the performance. So all the work, whichever I do, I like to bring about other mediums also in which I've worked. I like to weave them through it and give them a movement in animation. I worked in animation on this. So there are a lot of other things which I like to keep exploring, and I think it is very exciting to keep exploring and keep pushing your boundaries. That's it.
I absolutely agree, and I think it's very close to the way your journey has also evolved. I mean, if I may say so, your journey has been very organic, you know. Having said that, I'd like to ask you a question which I'm sure troubles a lot of artists who is beginning. As a self-taught artist, is this industry wise enough to accept them? And is there a difficulty in dealing with buyers, galleries, other artists, being a self-taught artist? And is it different from somebody who's trained out of an art school?
Nitin, first of all, I think each and every artist is self-taught. Whether they go to an art school or they don't go, it is an internal journey. You know, you just can't avoid that internal journey. It is, I think to me, it was a reflection of my own self, a language to express something which I could not in words. And there was a need to do that. And I thought that this was something which was bridging that gap. So I took this as my language at a very young age. And I must say that it was a very internal decision to have I'm a very stubborn person, and to have this, you know, it's good that I don't look it, but I like to make my own decisions, and I like to stick by them, and I like to go through a bit of a struggle. It is important, because if that struggle is not there, I don't think, you don't know which are your boundaries. You got to create those boundaries, you got to push them over, and in the process you actually see the real boundaries. Because there are so many things which are camouflaged. Being in an art school, I think everybody has to struggle, everybody has to go through the same struggle, but they are camouflaged in an art school. You feel that there is a whole lot of faculty, there is a whole lot of, you know, your own friends which are there with you, but in the end it is your own journey, it is your own work which takes you anywhere and everywhere. I don't think the only, maybe the plus point may be that it's easier to be seen. It's easier to be seen on the first look, like you can tell someone, I passed out from here, but in the end it is your work. So it is a struggle to prove that in spite of the fact that I'm not from this and this and this, and there's also one more thing, you know, we are not a gharana, like art is not a gharana, like a dance or music or something. It is a very individual kind of a journey. It is a very, very personal and a very lonely journey if you take it seriously. And I personally feel if you're being honest to yourself, then you got to take it up like that. And of course there are a lot of, you know, hardships, but in the end, you just have to stick around. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time for everything, you know. It takes time for us to grow up to this age, I think, in the galleries to understand what you're doing. You just have to be patient, because after all, they have their own constraints, and I'd never blame the galleries, because they know something which I don't know, and I know something which they don't know. And it is a very, very honest collaboration between an artist and a gallery. And I think a gallery, if they have certain constraints about selling certain works, a certain gallery may not be able to do that for you, but there may be so many other. Now we have so many other opportunities. As when I started actually exhibiting, there were just 3 or 4 galleries in Delhi, or 5 galleries in Delhi, and there was no other way to show. We had to show our own works, you know, like now we have so much to do with media. We had to go to the newspaper offices ourselves. It was a very different way, but it was very time consuming. Now we have all that time to ourselves to work. You see, I do not concentrate on anything else. So I feel that it does take time. It does take time for you to get your footing right, to get the right people to see your work, because there is a space for everyone. There is there is someone who will understand you. There are a whole lot of people who are there to greet you with and understand your language. So I feel that there's no dearth of that. Yes.
Ma'am, with your long journey, you would have also seen a lot of change in the buyer perspective. You know, today art is not just viewed as something which is an intelligent form of speaking a language. It is also considered it is a very the new in thing, the collector's item. It's the in thing to have. Is this a good trend? I mean, for it to become a style statement? I'm not being derogatory here about art. I'm just saying that is it a good trend that art is now considered not just as a luxury but also as a style statement, both academically as well as artistically?
First of all, I don't consider it an item. You know, because it is the artist is putting himself out completely, absolutely bare in front of you when he's doing an artwork. And about being, like a part of an elitist or whatever you were mentioning, I think it is a very transitory phase. In the end, the fact is that more and more people are looking at art now, whether they are taking it to be as a, what did you say that word? Fancied art collector item or anything else, but they are looking more at it. And in the end, I'm sure the homes in which they are going, the children are seeing more art, and it is a transitory phase. As initially we had a huge lot of boom in Delhi, I think, with galleries, and we were going crazy. What is happening? Artists were going crazy. The gallerists were, every day we were having 10 galleries opening up. But then it died, and in the same way, I feel that more and more people will start understanding art. Now we see more and more like what you are doing just now. It was never being done. So, like in a place like this, in a cafe and everything. So it is a very good, I think, movement, and we should just see it as nothing is consistent. It is moving. So I feel it should be just seen as a transitory phase, and I feel that now more and more people will dekha dekhi aur bhi lenge. So it's a good thing for art. I think what's wrong with it? I don't see anything wrong with it.
In that sense, I say this a couple of times. I've said this a couple of times before, that Sita ke paas hai to Gita ke paas bhi hona chahiye, and that's a trend which works very well in Delhi, at least. So
it is everywhere. I think it's everywhere. I've seen it all over the world like this.
I agree. Apart from it being a collector's item or now moving into spaces which we all live in, I'd also like to know, art is now not just as I said, used by collectors. A lot of it moves into our decors or into our homes. Aesthetically, art is becoming very important for spaces, and there is a very large divide if you come down to the critique of art, where certain art which is considered aesthetically beautiful and, for a lack of a better word, I always struggle for a better word for this word, decorative art, versus something which a lot of critics like to use as intelligent, academically questioning, and more contemporary art. How does that divide feature in your journey? I mean, has that ever been a consideration for you?
Nitin, very honestly, for me, never a divide. What people saw as what you're calling it, aesthetically beautiful, decorative, and very nice, was originally my journey. I know that maybe you're not referring me, but to my own journey here. And intellectually, I was, yeah, and my work has always been intellectually driven, and I think wherever I've talked about it or even explained a little about my work, people have understood. And my journey has also been, I don't think you can keep art away from intellect for any artist. Every artist is a thinking artist.
Yeah, it all comes from within, absolutely.
Every artist is a thinking artist. He has certain stories. He has certain layers of his own subconscious which peep through his work. And now, what you are talking about, intellectually driven, are you meaning socially aware?
Not really. I mean, not when I'm talking about...
Because I don't know how to make a divide between art which is intellectually driven. Because, of course, if we are talking about... in today's time, we can't even talk about folk art like that. I don't know what art are you mentioning, because I don't see it away from your own academic or intellectual journey. How can you create something? If you're doing that, then you're copying.
Absolutely.
And that is not art. But if it is coming somewhere from within...
There is a thought which has gone behind it.
There has to be. It is, you have to be with yourself. You have to unearth few of your own secrets which are there within you. You have to open up yourself, your mind, your intellect, your growth in every possible way. And that results in a growth of your work. Because, you are maybe... I can only again say that I can talk about myself and take my own example. Like I start from a drawing, a very small paper drawing where I start from with watercolors and then photocolors, then acrylics. Then I want to move on to a canvas. I move to the canvas. I move from canvas to terracotta. I move to bronze. I move further. So how is this happening?
It's all coming from within.
You can't say that this art is beautiful, so it is not good. I don't think that can justify anything.
You've absolutely answered for me.
I firmly believe that, a small thing like storytelling, till the time that story, has all the attributes of holding on to the attention. And I do believe in aesthetics. I do believe in beauty. I do believe in truth. And I don't like to do morbid stuff. Even a thing like abuse, I would not...
I'll not show you abuse in life.
I would not like to show it as something so morbid that people... to shock people out of it, that I do not relate to it, but I don't condemn it, because everyone has their language. I have no problems with anyone else's language, but this is mine, and that is the reason I was an artist.
Wonderful, ma'am. You said it beautifully. I've actually wanted this to go through to people who, I mean, not just critiques. I also feel that a lot of artists have this dilemma to ever... Or rather, it's a question which is asked more often than not to a lot of young artists that, isn't your work very decorative? Isn't your work very aesthetically beautiful and not...
See, decorative, when you're doing, there is this different thing when you make it into a decorative. Decorative is very, I think, has a very different connotation. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, it is a very derogatory. It doesn't... because decorative somewhere becomes skilled.
Yeah.
The moment you're talking about decoration, it is a skill.
Yeah.
But being an artist is not a skill.
Absolutely. The two words should not be used together.
It is a way of life which you're trying to express, and you're using it as a language. We must understand the oldest language is not a word.
Yeah.
It is a form.
Absolutely.
If you go down to the caves and everything, when they didn't know the name of the animals, when they didn't know how to pronounce an animal, they drew.
Absolutely.
Bhimbetka and all those caves, they can just, so this is a language. And if you say that, okay, the olden art was decorative, it was not.
There was a lot of intelligence. That's what we all evolved.
They were saying something of that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know what art we can call decorative. It's only, I think, when we are talking about it in not a very good way.
I agree. I totally agree, ma'am. Ma'am, Indian art is also considered, it's traveled a long journey from, folk art, as you said, cave art. A lot of influence comes to today's artists about Indian art. I'm saying artists who you're living in India, practicing in India, or are from India. There's a lot of influence which stays put from the history of Indian art. How has that affected your work, and would you consider yourself as a Indian artist with its, if anybody, as an Indian artist per se, talking about Indian subjects, or also as a global citizen who's trying to put India to them? I'll just rephrase this question slightly, that are you looking at trying to define what's happened with your journey, keeping Indian history, Indian art history into mind, or are you trying to define India for the global world to see it as?
Nitin, about Indian history, I do not think much. But about the spiritual aspects, I do. My upbringing was extremely spiritual. It was not religious. I do not have a religious background, but I was exposed to a lot of religions and faith. So in the end, I was exposed to Sikhism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. Of course, Jainism was there. And I think that anybody who was brought up in Delhi in 60s or 50s, I think it was because that was the time when we all had got independence and everything was so fresh. Everybody wanted to be secular. Everybody wanted to know more about each other as people, and they were more giving, I grew up in that era. I was born in 60s. And for me, that spiritual growth was very important, and that is what brought the need of expression as an artist. So what I paint is spiritually inclined. I talk about my faith, my belief, and my interpretation of different religions in one painting. One painting could have various other, like I did a Garden of Eden. And in that, you could see the Dakinis, you could see the Adam and the Eve, and you could see. So they're different stories imbibed together as one. So, and I talk about a journey of finding myself. Who am I? That was one of my, this thing also, one of my solo shows I did, and I called it Who Am I? And that has been my quest, and I think that is a quest of each one of us. I don't see anyone who does not have this question in the end. So the answer is there in front of you. Absolutely. It is a global question. It is a global answer. And spirituality is what we all seek in the end. Peace is what we seek in the end. So I do not know about the history of art and the history of our, of our country that way. But of course, I do know a lot about faiths and beliefs and spirituality and the questions.
You had a lot of global exposure, international exposure. How is Indian art viewed internationally, with your experience in mind?
They're intrigued. I must say, there's not much known besides a very few artists. They don't know much about Indian art, and they want to know, but they don't know what to do about it, because we are so many, and each one is so different. It is actually that they're amazed that how we all could be so different. And that is what I think is so amazing about India, That's what brings everyone to India, because each person has their own faith, their own God, their own belief, and their own conviction to go about their lives, and the way they interpret it. So each artist has their own very unique expression, which has not been explored yet. They're still very surprised. Oh, you know, whenever I go and I show the, but how do you manage, like you so many. And when I start showing them the catalogs of different, of 100 artist show or a 50 artist show, they can't just believe it. Is it a Biennale? They can't believe that. So I still feel that they have, there's not much explored, and they want to know a lot about Indian art, but not much has been actually put forward. Though there's a lot which is opening up because of the residencies and other things which are happening. Like I was there in Hungary for a residency a few months back, and they were very surprised with the kind of techniques, like where did you learn it, and the fact that you explore and you do your own work, and it was quite interesting. I feel that there's a lot more we can give to the world globally, yes.
Absolutely, I think 3 cheers to that. I also want to know, ma'am, pricing is a very important factor in today's market. How do you go about pricing an artwork and dealing with your galleries? What are the parameters that you look into, and I just want to know your experience about pricing of an artwork.
Pricing has become very important, Nitin. I cannot deny that. And how do we go about it? Like when we started, we didn't know, like it was so long back. And I initially was pulling up my prices 10%, like every 2 years or something. But for the past 4 years, I have not increased a single price. Looking at the market and then other things. And 2010 was the last time I think I had my solo show, and I had the prices there, and I never increased after that. Though I feel there are a lot of artists who increase every year or something, but I don't know what has been the basis of my own. I never feel very good raising my prices. I always have a lot of sleepless nights, and I want to question myself. Am I doing the right thing? I hope I'm not being greedy. I hope I'm not succumbed to the passions of all the other stuff which comes along. So it is a difficult thing. It is a very difficult thing, and market determines your pricing, I personally feel. But you have to, I think, go very slow if you want to be here. If you consider this as your home, what is the hurry? I personally go about thinking like this, that I can only have this much share of the universe. Now, this much share, do I want to take today, or I want to carry it on for my whole life?
Enjoy the entire life.
And I'll end up just telling myself I don't need to increase it. I'm happy. And I really like sharing my work with a lot more people. And it's been good. It's been rather nice. I've never seen any, downward trend. I've not. God's been kind, so I don't see any reason.
Ma'am, very kind.
So I don't see the reason to.
Apart from this, ma'am, I'd also like to bring about a subject which has happened a lot of times with me as when I'm dealing with art. I want to know your experience. A lot of times a gallery would approach you, or a buyer would come to you and say that you had done this work in 2009. I want something similar, same. How does one tackle that? What?
No, you can't just do it. You just can't do it. If you're an artist, you just can't do it. There are no two ways about it. The 2009 mein kiya, so how can you go back? I don't even turn back and look. If I'm walking straight, I would never go back, to pick up something from my home if I'm leaving for the airport. I mean, no turning back, just going ahead. That is my motto, and I do not believe in anything like that. It is just ridiculous, because you can't just do something which is already done. You can do a series, you know, you can do a same series. If I'm doing some series for a long time, yes, of course I can do the same series, but to tell me to do these colors and to do that, it is not just possible. It is just not possible.
Before I go to the next question, I'd like to dig a little deep into this topic again. You mentioned this color, a certain set of colors. I'm sure you would have got certain requests from certain people that, oh, you did those blues, can I repeat those? Or you've done reds, I've not seen reds come out for 4 years from your works. I mean, for me as a gallerist or as a person who deals with art, I just simply ask them, what did you just say?
No, but I think it is so nice that I had galleries who were very supportive about the artist also. So they have started telling them that, why do you need that color? So somebody would say, yeah. So they would say, see, sofa kitte ka hai? Ye painting kitte ki hai? So match your sofa to the painting, not to the painting to the sofa. So I think that's the gallery's job. I think they handle it very well. Most of the galleries, I think they're very good with all this. Yeah.
I guess so. Ma'am, I also want to talk about a subject which sadly is true. There is a lot of artistic jealousy which is now brewing around, and between artists, between galleries. The feeling of community which I was always told while I was growing up, I saw glimpses of it, you know, when I would visit art shows when I was young, when I would see artists together. Of course it's been there for generations, but I'm saying that the jealousy factor, and not creative jealousy only, it's also financial success parameters as the main focus. How has that impacted your life, and what would you like to say about that?
Nitin, I've been very lucky that I did not belong to a group or to a certain school, and I did not have godfathers. So I could not understand if somebody, because I could not be certainly jealous with, I could be, why not, but temperamentally I am not, because I'm so obsessive about my own self, I think. I'm so constantly in struggle with my own things that I usually don't have the time to think about कि उसका कितने का है, क्या है. I really don't know about the pricing also of the other artists. I've never inquired from anyone about the pricing of the other artists. But what you're mentioning is a very normal human behavior. I think artists are human too. And if they have any of these problems of artistic jealousies, and it has been there, you know, not only in India, it has been there. I was just mentioning to you about Picasso and Modigliani and all these, you know, he was, I think, a better painter than Picasso, but Picasso had a more, you know, success, artistic success as the financial success. You can't help it. So I think it depends a lot upon a person, and I don't think we should get into that kind of state, because it takes you down and it sort of pulls you down, and art is all about uplifting. It is all about, I believe, and I still like to mentally be there, you know, that when you're talking about art, when you're talking about any creative, you know, subject, it should be uplifting. It should take you to a different height.
Absolutely,
not,
absolutely. Ma'am, how important for you, as well as what you see around, is image projection, or the way you portray yourself, your artworks, and your journey to the media, to other artists, to galleries, to buyers? How important is that as a factor?
This is image projection.
Absolutely.
This is
I 100%
certainly
believe it.
image projection. It is important, but first your work is as important. I think not as, it has to be more important, because the images can be created, the work has to be within you. You know, and I feel that if the work is not there, you know, जब वो integrity ही नहीं है तो then how can you build something over it? It has to collapse. Then, you know, it doesn't take you as far. So, to be seen in a certain light, for a certain, which sort of complies with your work, which sort of takes your work forward and not you. Because it's always nice to meet someone and say, oh, and the other person says, oh, I've seen your work, I didn't see you. So I feel very nice. So I said, well, I'm already in your life. You know?
Absolutely.
And they don't know who I am. I feel very nice. I feel good. Because it is because if I've not identified myself with my work, if me and my work are two different things, then there is a problem. But if my work and me is one and the same thing, if my work is being seen, that means I'm being seen. If my work is in a gallery, that means you can't deny me, I am there. But the moment we see ourselves as different from our work, I think there is a problem. Then you start seeing as yourself as a personality, which I do not think is a very important thing, because in the end, an artist's personality is his work, is his art.
Yeah, he's known by it and vice versa.
That's what is important.
Yep. Ma'am, I'd like to touch the topic of public art here. This is a public forum, and we at our company are a small group of young individuals who are trying to do their best. But I feel that, when artists like you who are so senior have seen such a long journey, where do you think public art in this country is currently, and where do we take it from here?
There is a lot to be done in public art. I think there is a lot to be done in public art, though there are so many more opportunities just now, and I think most of the big companies, multinationals, and even the public and private institutions, they are going in for public art, and they're very open to it. But I think we still need to work a lot on it, and public art has always been a part of this country. But somewhere down the line, we stop it at a very religious space, If it is Shanidev, then we are fine with it, but if it is something else, then we are not okay with it. So I think public art has to be as mobile and as easily accessible as any other religious functions that we have. I think that's all public art, When we have a yatra or a Jagannatham, something, it is public art. How can we not deny it? But it is not, that is, we have to go out of it, Now I think we have to move on and bring about so many other things and attach, make them into more permanent, permanent way of life to have public art in most of the institutions. Yes, it is there.
Wonderful. Ma'am, I'd like to ask you some quick questions now, and I just want short answers, just for fun. I'll give you
you never told me about this.
Ma'am, for you, how important is culture versus academics? Culture versus academics. What is more important? Cultural or
culture?
Culture. If you depict art in any form, out of all the experiences you've had, which would be your favorite way of displaying your art? A painting, a sculpture, a performance?
An installation.
An installation. To a young art student, what would you say is more important? Selling your first artwork or having your first exhibition?
Neither. It took me 16 or 18 years to first have my solo show, and recently I was in, like, I passed out my college of, I did my commercial arts, and in 80s, 82, and I had my first solo show in 98. And recently I had a student of 12th standard come up to me and ask me, "Auntie, I want to have a solo show because I've done and I've booked Habitat, and what do you think about it?" And I was staring and said, "But why do you want to have?" So his parents were as eager, and they were telling me, "But he's very good." I said, "Of course he's very good, but why do you want to?" He said, "No, it is just that we want to document everything. We want to have a proper catalog and a curator and everything." I said, "Yeah, so go ahead. It's fine. You booked it. It's okay. But don't sell, you know, because this is something which you will never be able to create again. And this time will never come back. So do not sell." But they sold. They sold everything. So I don't know what to say to the younger artists, because everyone has the urgency. And I think the gestation period has suddenly reduced. Earlier the gestation period was longer, and now there are opportunities. Maybe they said, "No, but Auntie, at that time you didn't even have the opportunities." And I was just staring. I said, "Maybe, yes, I don't know." So, you know, the fact is that you have to give yourself that time. I think just to be is so important, because to sell or to have a show, I don't know, it is not that important. To create is so important, and we must give ourselves some time. Where we have about 60, 70 paintings of our own, and we haven't sold anything, and we are just looking at them, trying to analyze, okay, what can be done? Now what is this journey? These are the 10 canvases I've done, and this is one series I've created. Now moving on from this, what else can I do? And if I mix this series with this series, what am I going to get? You know, I don't know. I found that very interesting. It was a very, very beautiful play. You know, it was like there would be nights and weeks of those nights when I would be just struggling in my head that, oh God, now this is such a problem, now this element is struggling me and I don't know how to do this. You know, I think that the period is very important. So I don't know how young the artist is, I really don't know, because, you know, view to it also, because just now everything is so expensive, and there are such young artists coming from, I see, you know, go for certain initiatives, art initiatives, where they picked up artists from remote villages who come down to Delhi, and they're, you know, in art residencies and everything. So I think for them it is so important to sell. It is so important to sell, and I do agree that I do not still agree with a show, but yes, selling your work is not that bad. You can just go on selling, but I think you should have a show only when you're totally convinced about, because this is something that you're putting yourself forward.
Yeah, you're giving your language to the world for the first time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd like to open questions from the audience. We have, before I do that, we have a small twist to this. The best question of the evening will, the best 2 questions of the evening will win a small gift from our side.
Hi, Seema.
Hi, Ritu.
I'm a very curious person.
Yes, please.
I've been always very curious about your technique, so I didn't want to go back home without getting an answer to this.
Yeah, of course, I'm very
I want to
open
know
about it.
whether you arrived at it by experimentation, or did it happen accidentally?
No, it was a very, very cumbersome. I think I went through a very serious struggle, and for months I was wondering whether I would ever be able to do anything, because I did not have the basic knowledge of the material that I was using, because I didn't go to an art school, as I mentioned. I did my commercial arts, but it was nothing to do with what I'm doing now. And I used to work on ivory card with pen and ink. That's how it started, and it started with stippling, if you know. So that used to be with Croquill, and I used to work with Croquill. Rotring pens came much later. That was in 80s, or even before that. It was somewhere in 77 I started like that. And then I moved on to photo inks. That was the material which had just come in 80s. And I started working with photo inks under in an ad agency, Siddharth Sen. I don't know if you have heard about it. So I worked with them for 2-3 months, and there I discovered photo inks, and I started working with photo inks, and that they were transparent, translucent colors which were very interesting. So I started doing that with my ink, and that's where I discovered Rotring, and I started working with Rotring. Then I wanted to do something more, and I started doing washes on paper. By that time we had this acid-free paper in 85, 86, we started getting that. And I started working on that with certain washes of inks, watercolors and gouache. I used to mix all these. I used to mix it in a bowl and throw it on that, and I started working with that. During this time, I realized that I wanted to expand my, because I was working on a full imperial sheet till that time, and I wanted to expand it a little more, and that was the time I wanted to work on the canvas, but I had no idea about canvas. So I went and I joined Triveni. That was in 96.
So do you think that the paper, the canvas is as receptive as the paper?
No. The paper had started throwing back color at me, because paper can retain only a certain amount of color. Paper does not retain the same amount of color as a canvas or any cloth, linen also would do. So I wanted to actually do more washes, because my anguish was growing. I was not reaching anywhere as far as the pigment that I wanted. The pigment that I wanted on my paper was not staying. So, and it was throwing back the color, it was becoming transparent, and that was becoming very, very troublesome for me. That was the time I started going to Triveni. I thought I will work in acrylics there, but everybody was working in oils. And that is the time when I learned oils. I said, okay, here I have something new, because I was very fluid, I was flowing, and I learned oils over there, and I started using oils first as in a watery way, but it was taking me months to dry. Like it would take me 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If you see my older works in around 98 to 2001, 2002, 2003, they were like that. And at that time I started working with acrylics on canvas. When I started with acrylics and canvas, it became much, much more easier for me to let it dry. It was an easier way for me to let it dry, and that's how I started working on and arriving at something. But initially they were just washes. Then I started using gold and silver, and I wanted to use the real pigment, because for me truth is I could not use something fake, and I started using the gold leaf and silver leaf as base, with a small prayer of Guru Shukra Vigneshwaraya Namah, where I used Shukra as silver and gold as Guru. And everything becomes intellectually and spiritually and personally a struggle, and that's how I arrived at that. And now, even now, I'm moving on with more textures onto it. I started using corrugated paper, I started using bubble paper, sometimes cloth, sometimes I'm walking over it. It depends on whichever mood you are in, or sometimes just raising the canvas and letting it drip.
One last thing I want to say is, I want to compliment you for not getting sucked into the Triveni Gharana.
Okay, I don't know, but it was still the best place I went to teach me the discipline. I don't know. But it's always good to break away from whichever place you are. It's always nice to move on. Yeah, thanks.
Any more questions? We have an award at the end of it. If there's, yeah, 1 sec.
I'd like to know how important are conversations like these in an open space area like a cafe or say a place like the Pint Room today, because you're just talking about it previously.
Yeah. I think it's very interesting because it sort of opens up and there's no, I think, inhibition in it, because the moment we are in a gallery there is a certain, I think, discipline to it. So I think it's a very interesting thing, and I'm always open to more conversations. I've had a lot of interactive sessions earlier also, but of course this is the first time I'm having it in a cafe. It's nice.
Sorry. Any more questions from the audience? 1 sec.
Seema, I just want to know one thing. This is something that has been nagging me for some time, because somebody commented on my work that it's decorative. But you just said that decoration is like skill. But I also have a thought process. So
Of
what
course.
you have seen in your work, how does this industry define decorative art? And why is it so derogatory?
See, as I said earlier, how and why I feel using the term decorative, why do that it is a little derogatory, because it sort of puts you to a certain skill. And as far as I think, art is very flowing. It is always new. And I don't know about your work. I haven't seen your work recently, Shubhra. I don't think your work is decorative. I don't know why.
Yeah, absolutely. I also don't think so.
Because as far as I remember, I saw it about 3 years back, 3.5 years back, and I don't know what you are meaning by decorative.
That's what I want to know. That how does this industry define decorative art? That
See, industry is what we are. It is how we define ourselves. It is very important to define ourselves in the way we are, and I don't think industry is anything away from us. So it is how we interpret our work. Do we succumb to somebody saying something to us? It doesn't really matter. How does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter to me, but you know, if somebody categorizes my work as decorative,
You don't relate to it. I don't relate to so many things when they said to me. I just move on. There's no time for all this, Shubhra, because there's so much ahead. I think there's so much to explore in your own way, in your own path, that I don't think, because whoever is expressing this or sort of explaining about your work, they have their own path, and I don't think we should cross their path. We can move ahead.
Thank you.
And I think of every one person who calls your work, any one of our works, decorative, you'll have 100 people who love your works.
Yeah,
There is a difference between craft work and art. Yeah. Sometimes when we do art that is decorative, it is classified as craft because it is a skilled person who can do a craft work. No, I'm not judging anybody or saying anything. I'm just to answer your query, you know, that there is like we weave the shawls, and it is also a piece of art, but that is actually craft. It's not art. So there's a very fine line of difference between the two.
yeah, I think you're right, yes.
Seema ji, it's a pleasure listening to you, and this is such an enlightening conversation. We're really enjoying ourselves back here.
Thanks.
I'm just curious to know who are the artists that really inspire you, and artists that you actually look up to as, you know, role models, or somebody who, you know, who we all should actually see. I mean, from your point of view.
I may be disappointing you, but I see myself. I'm sorry, but
That's wonderful.
yes, lives inspire me, personas inspire me, but art I'm only inspired by myself. I'm sorry.
Wonderful. I'm sure you'll inspire a lot of us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Any more questions? We're still open with the reward at the end of it.
I'd like to talk about your work, which was just displayed right before the conversation. If you could tell me where the inspiration for this particular work came from, any particular incident or anything?
Yes, of course there were a lot of incidents, and abuse has been a very, very normal way of life for all of us, not only in India but all over the world. And at this particular time when I wrote about this story, I was listening to many things. This was in 80s I'm talking about. I wasn't even married at that time. I didn't have children. And I wrote this, and I thought I would never be able to come out with it. There were tags attached to me, and somebody's daughter, I was going to get married, and at that time I just thought that I had to write this. So I just wrote it. But over the years, in 90s somewhere, you are constantly hearing so much about abuse. It is all over the place, and it starts from nowhere. The abuse is not particularly, I'm not talking only about the sexual assault here of a woman or a man. I'm talking about any kind of abuse, because it is so easy. We very easily tread into the boundaries of others. It's very easy for us not to even think what we are doing, what we are saying. And it starts right from the environment, which is all around us. And you must have heard in the verses, each verse I'm saying, did she feel like this? So who is the she? The she is the environment around us. We are constantly sabotaging it, and it started with that, and then it culminated in, of course, in the December 6th was this to be shown at the India Art Fair, which was decided much before that the thing happened. This was in September. I think it was given to them somewhere in November, and it was shown in January, and it sort of coincided with the same thing. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Art is a commodity, as a product that comes after the expression or the whole process where you are creating the artwork in itself. Your take on it as an artist? The reason why I'm asking this is because most of the time we do not even use the word artwork. The term that is used in the market is art. While I feel that the definition for art, if you look it up in the dictionary, apart from being a product or...
art is not a product, first of all. It is not a product. You can't use this work for art.
That's how it generally goes.
No, that is a very different, I think, context that you're referring to. It is, when you are in the market, it is a different thing. It is hello, yeah. It is a very market-driven phrase that you are referring to, but art is never a product.
The same
product is something which is repeated, and it is a repetitive culmination of some
no,
kind
I'm not
of...
talking, see, I'm not saying that it's a craft or skill-based...
I'm not talking about craft or a skill. Product is produced.
Absolutely.
Produced is something which is more than one. Please, I think you have to understand that a bit.
I understand that.
Yeah. So it is not a product. It is a very single piece of art. Every piece of art, every work of art is single. It cannot be produced.
Okay, then I'll put it in a different fashion.
And if we have more, like if we have sculptures or if we have prints, then we have editions.
My question is slightly different. Even
Sure.
if it is a
Yeah.
single, what I'm saying that whatever you create, at the end of it, whatever has been created is referred to as the art,
Yeah.
rather than the actual expression and the creation of what is.
But it is art.
No, art in itself, if you look it up in the dictionary, and as it used to be in the initial artistic endeavors, it used to be that action while the while the work was being created.
So
rather
it
than
is
being the end of it, as I use the word product,
see
like it is the end product of that creation. So
getting too confused about it philosophically. Let's see it very logically. What you just said, it is a process. That's what you said. But process ends. So what do you call that? What is the like end process?
So that would be an artwork. That's what
It is an artwork. It is an artwork. So we cannot deny that being an artwork.
Artwork, not art. That was my only. That it's not art. Art itself. Art is the articulation or the expression or the actual creation of that piece or that artwork.
Yeah,
So
it
that
is.
was, yeah.
It is, but that's what it is called.
I
don't
just
know.
try and intervene a little here.
It is called an artwork.
See, the art and artwork where it differs.
Artist creates an artwork.
And
That's-
what he indulges in is art. The process is art in itself, and the process of doing all of it is art. But the after it culminates into an artwork. And as far as product is concerned, it's very widely used, correct. It might not be totally wrong in the market scenario, correct. But at the end of it, the sale is a product. The artwork will never turn into a product. The sale of the artwork is a product, not the artwork. It will never turn into a product. Because a product has certain intrinsic value, and if you take the intrinsic value of art, it is just a canvas and paints. So it will never be at that value. So it is the sale of the artwork which is a product.
Thanks.
Thanks. Any more questions from the audience? Thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you, audience. You were great. And we'll just give away the best questions in a bit. Thanks. You can enjoy the evening. Thanks.
I need